In this video today, guys, I'm going to go through 5+ altcoins that I think have absolutely massive potential for 2022. As we get into this video, if you've happened to find it useful, informative, then why not go ahead and hit the like button? I really do appreciate that, and it helps spread the word. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and that way you'll be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done, and out of the way, let's actually jump on down to the desktop and take a look at what these particular altcoins are and why I think these are going to be really good performers in 2022. Okay guys, we're going to start off with the obvious ones. Let's just get these out of the way, and then we'll get into the more less obvious ones as we get through the video. So to start with, Cardano, obviously with so many things going on fundamentally with the project, I do anticipate that Cardano is going to be one of the front winners in 2022. This is going to be not only because they have their smart contracts now live on the platform, but with obviously the Plutus application backend, the PAB. Once that's finished on the testnet, we're going to see a significant drive forward with projects finally launching on the ecosystem. For those who do not know, PAB basically standardizes so much more on the platform, making it easier and quicker and more efficient, and obviously makes it a little bit more secure as well on people writing smart contracts on Cardano. So therefore, it makes it a bit of an obvious choice that basically dApps are waiting for this thing to kind of get pushed through the testnet, find out any bugs, and then of course fix them ahead of launching on the mainnet. Now once that obviously goes live, you're going to start to see projects building and launching on Cardano. Okay, they obviously are building in the background right now, but obviously without the PAB they cannot standardize certain things with smart contracts, and therefore it kind of slows things down. So actually what you need is that Plutus application backend so that they can roll that in and then push forward with development. Now, why is this really important? This is really important because this actually leads to transactional volume. Okay, now obviously transactions are paid in ADA. Okay, and when you start to see a spike in transactional volume, of significant spike as well, you'll start to see a new demand for ADA. Now, this is something that you can see when you take a look at the history of Matic. Once people were realizing that actually they should build and take their dApps from Ethereum, put them onto the Polygon network, what you actually started to see was transactional volume increase on Polygon, and as a result, obviously you started to see new demand for Matic. But of course, once you start seeing a few green candles, you start to see the FOMO also kick in, and basically people start chasing those green candles. You saw Matic do 42,000% in 2021, and that is absolutely massive. And I mean, just say 2021, it's basically from March 2020 through to March 2021, right? That 1 year period saw 42,000%. Now let's put that into context. Bitcoin moved 1,600, Ethereum moved 5,000, Cardano moved 14,000, VChain moved 18,000, HarmonyOne moved 18,000, Matic 42,000%. And a lot of that was down to the transactional volume that was actually going in, and then the FOMO effect that kicked in after that. So obviously when we start to talk about dApps running on Cardano, we're going to start to see transactional volume kick in. Once you see the transactional volume, you'll see a spike with the demand of ADA, and as a result, you'll start to see people chasing those green candles, creating a bit of a FOMO effect, and you'll see the price move quite rapidly to the north side. That's my understanding, and what I do think and anticipate is going to happen here with Cardano in the future. These particularly low rates, obviously a lot of people getting frustrated it hasn't done what it was supposed to do, in 2021. Lots of kind of FUD out there in the space, lots of kind of nonsense and noise, but fundamentally when we break down the technicals, we can see lots of different things when it comes to Cardano. Now, obviously taking a look at the weekly chart, as you can see, new trend is being born here. We can see that we're heavily oversold, and obviously every time that we are heavily oversold, guys, we've seen what happens afterwards. So oversold just down here, that was at this point. Okay, we're oversold right now, and we're at this point. If we take a look at where we were previously, down here, this is actually the beginning of that third wave. We were all the way down here. So will tell me what you're expecting to happen next. It's not going to be more downside action here. You can have some small stuff going on with the daily. You can see some small time volatility on the hourly, for example. But on the bigger macro picture, there's only one way this thing is looking, and it is looking north. So very, very good stuff going on here with Cardano. So that's the first one. I want to kind of get that one out of the way. It's quite an obvious one. It's so incredibly obvious it has to be put out, right? So the second obvious one I should say, is of course XRP. Now XRP had the lawsuit from the SEC. I say XRP, but Ripple versus the SEC. So the SEC dropped that lawsuit on Ripple back end of 2020. This actually hindered them massively. Okay, they have significantly underperformed against the market, and again that was pretty much down to what the SEC filed. Now obviously I do believe, and as I said way back in December of 2020, it's absolutely nonsense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Nowhere else in the world do you see XRP being targeted as a security. In fact, in the UK, we call it an exchange token. Many other countries around the world have very similar. There's lots of utility around it and lots of use case. Obviously, it's not something that the SEC believe in, and they really are going after it as a security, at least the historic sales of XRP. As a result of that, obviously, it has been very, very volatile, has underperformed against the market, and that is courtesy of Jay Clayton at the SEC. Of course, he did this the day that he stepped down. So obviously, he's no longer there, and he went to go and work for a rival company. Nonetheless, all that kind of stuff to one side, that lawsuit should hopefully come to conclusion in 2022. Now, and ultimately, it doesn't generally matter too much as to whether or not XRP is classed as security or not. Win, lose, draw, settlement, it doesn't really matter. Once the kind of the verdict is drawn, we're going to see the markets kind of move rapidly again. And my expectation here is that actually it'll end up in settlement or a win for Ripple. If the SEC were to happen to win this one, that would be bad news for crypto as a whole. So we do have to watch that, but you would also see a lot of innovation and basically blockchain tech companies just migrate out of the US under those circumstances. So there's only one person who gets hurt here, and that is basically the US, right? And I say a person, but everyone in the US are going to get hurt as a result of this action, right? So those retail investors that the SEC claim to protect, they are seriously hurting them and do global damage as a whole. So ultimately, I think it will end up with a win or a settlement, and as a result of that, we'll see the exchanges listing XRP back in the States, and we'll also see a lot of FOMO activity as people try to chase the green candles. Kick Interactive is a clear example of this. It was classed as a security, and the very next day it moved up. In fact, 7 days after it was classed as security in the US, it had moved up 1,000%, and then it continued to go, okay, all the way through 2020 into 2021. Rapid gains were made, against that particular asset. Now, obviously, different times. We're not in the same kind of cycle moment, okay, but if we do actually see some pretty positive action here, I do have some pretty interesting expectations on XRP. I think we're going to push up quite significantly in 2022, and with the right kind of victory or settlement or whatever from that particular lawsuit with Ripple versus the SEC, I think we'll move even higher up. Obviously, here we have got the Elliott Wave Triangle playing out nicely. This generally leads to an impulsive move, which would, of course, be a pretty interesting kind of impulsive move to the upside. I do expect new all-time highs after the kind of this kind of 1 through 5 Elliott Wave impulsive move to the upside after that breakout. Really hard to know how high this thing is going to push just yet, but we will be knowing a little bit more in the future as we kind of get into that. So what we're looking for now is completion of wave D, come back down into wave E, and then we'll look for that that breakout there. So looking very, very good here for XRP into 2022. Now that actually takes me then on to the third asset, right, that I want to talk about, which is VChain. Now VChain obviously is something that I've been talking about for a while. There is, of course, another Elliott Wave Triangle. Now this particular triangle is really visible on the daily chart. You can see it's a longer term play all the way back from the highs of February, also the highs of April even, pulling down into the low areas for wave A, pulling up with wave B, down into wave C. This is kind of where we are right now. We're looking to push up into wave D. Nothing is confirmed on this triangle until we complete wave D. Then we'll look for that pullback into E. And of course, this leads into that explosive move that we just spoke about with XRP. Now, in terms of utility, there's very few chains that you're going to find that have just as much utility as VChain. Widely adopted across the world, across many different countries and continents. There's a lot of FUD out there with this one. You have to kind of actually cut through the shit to find out the actual truth, and that's unfortunately the way that it goes. But VChain here, they have immense utility, immense partnerships, and people who are, enterprises, global enterprises, billion-dollar companies utilizing this blockchain tech for their, whether that is supply chain needs or verification, whatever. Ultimately, this is a project that you absolutely must be aware of, and you have to do a fair amount of research to cut through the nonsense and the noise. But when you actually do that research and you come across some of the fantastic things that they are building and that they're delivering on, and who is actually currently utilizing this technology for their purposes, you'll be surprised, and you'll be surprised at where it sits currently inside the coin market cap in terms of rank. It doesn't make a lot of sense. This project should be a top 10 cryptocurrency. Now, obviously, it's highly volatile. It has got a large circulating supply. And again, that is because of the design of the blockchain. It's designed specifically for this, right? We have a dual token system. We have VET, the cryptocurrency, the store of value. And then, of course, we have the gas fee, the V4 token. Okay, so basically, it's a token that you can, VET is a token that you can stake inside the Sync wallet. And basically, as a result of that, you earn V4. So the more VET that you stake, the more V4 that you earn. Now, if you're a business and you're looking to utilize, let's say supply chain tracking with VChain, you're going to want to make that as cost efficient as possible. You're going to want to purchase up VET, store it as a store of value, and then stake that to earn the V4, making your transactions cost neutral where possible. Obviously, VET is a volatile asset, but over the course of time, that's going to become more and more stable. There's also a mechanism to control the gas fee. Okay, so V4 can fluctuate in how much is actually required to pay for a gas fee. If the price of V4 goes up, they can reduce the amount of V4 required to actually pay the transactions. Therefore, you actually end up with a stable, predictable market in terms of gas fees. This actually makes it incredibly attractive for enterprises globally. This is why you see the likes of BMW, H&M, Walmart China, the Chinese government, the Cyprus government. There's so much going on VChain. You really have to pay attention to it. With an Elliott wave triangle that's looking like this, and with good promise to where we are looking to go in 2022, this one has another clear kind of vision as to where I think VChain is going to be one of the key performers. The next coin that I want to talk about is HarmonyOne. Now, HarmonyOne obviously has a lot going on with it. Recently up at new all-time highs after a breakout from the cup and handle. This actually took us to 38 cents. We saw the ABC correction. We started to get some decent traction to the upside. As we can see on the daily chart, we're getting nicely corrected now from that overbought area that we were in not too long ago. We're getting ready for a big move in January. The weekly chart's looking very, very good. We can see here there's a nice path to all-time highs. This could again turn impulsive. Now, when it comes to true utility, HarmonyOne is right up there. There's so many dApps actually currently running on this ecosystem. Definitely worth understanding. It has the bridge to Ethereum, it's got the bridge to Bitcoin coming, and they're really massive on DAOs. DAOs are going to be absolutely massive in the future. If you're not familiar, do research on DAOs, guys, because we've obviously seen an NFT boom. There's going to be a DAO boom in the future, and Harmony are behind it in a very, very big way, with a $300 million fund also out there to support projects building on the ecosystem. We are going to see some pretty interesting things go on here when it comes to HarmonyOne. It's done incredibly well so far, 18,905% from March through to March. That was a 385-day move. We then set up new all-time highs, and we're still tracking to get some decent highs still to come. HarmonyOne, definitely one you're not going to want to miss out on in 2022. Definitely worth doing some research if you're not familiar. Obviously, we've been highlighting this one since, well, pretty much October 2020. I don't know the exact date of the very first video that we ever did, but performing incredibly well with good predictions for going further forward. Now, this is where we start to go into some coins that we don't generally talk about all too often, but we really do like on the channel. The Anchor is another example of something that I think is going to perform incredibly well. For those who do not know, Anchor is a Web3 based project, really pushing forward Web3. Basically, they do a lot for the world of blockchain tech as well. So if you're not familiar, if you're not familiar with the technology, but maybe you want to become a validator for a particular blockchain, well, you can head over to Anchor's website and actually, click of a button, and you could have your own node, right? You could be signing transactions for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and they even have the ETH 2.0 node, Elrond, Silica, you name it. There's a whole host of different chains that they go ahead and support. So if you're wanting to kind of get involved with some of these projects, Anchor's definitely one that you're going to want to have a look at, because again, they make it very, very easy for even the novice users to kind of get involved with some of these blockchain technologies. So this one has performed well. We're probably well known for I guess the most famous Anchor trade of flipping out of Reef Finance into Anchor at a very key time. We rode this one up absolutely massively. And again, the nice correction working on now. We fell just short of all-time highs, but we are looking and tracking quite nicely to the upside. Some pretty good growth still on this one to come. And I do think that this is going to be a really good performer in 2022. This actually then takes me on to the next project that has so much utility, guys. And this is, of course, sorry, if I can get my words out, Link. Now, Chainlink is obviously an Oracle-based project. Now, oracles are absolutely vital when it comes to things like DeFi. This is about bringing real-world data on-chain in an immutable way. And Chainlink does a fantastic job at this. It's definitely probably one of the front runners in that particular space. Now, heavily integrated, you're going to be hard pushed to find a protocol that does not utilize or does not have a partnership with Chainlink. With that being said, it has been quite volatile recently. We saw an 1 through 5 impulsive move to the upside get completed. We saw the ABC come down, and then we started to see a wave 1 potential here with a wave 2 pullback, and now we are potentially on the horizon of another wave 3 before wave 4 pullback, and then a 5. Ultimately, we are tracking quite nicely to the upside here. We want to begin monitoring this one on quite closely, but heavily oversold on our weekly chart here. Good potential and good potential for growth in 2022. I am still surprised that this particular cryptocurrency is $20, and it has so much potential to go so much higher. As you can see here, we do have the trend-based fib potentially looking out there at about $200 per coin. So again, not financial advice, a 10x on here. It does seem very plausible, and do take that with a pinch of salt. It is based on the trends that we've seen so far, but trends can change pretty quickly, so we have to be a little bit open-minded to that. But ultimately, this potentially has is potentially on the cusp of an impulsive move to the upside as we go into 2022. So I thought it was really important that we kind of pull this one out and really highlight the fact that it's in this low area of wave 2 with a potential area of a wave 3. If it isn't impulsive, then we are still tracking very nicely on this A, B, and we should still go higher for C. So interesting enough, I think this is going to be one that a lot of people will be focusing in on in 2022. This then brings me down to the last 2 coins I wanted to talk about today. So we have MTV. MTV looks pretty promising right now. It does appear to be kind of showing up with the potential of a cup and handle, specifically on the smaller time frames. If we take a look here, we have the good cup here within this wave 4 pullback and wave 5, and then obviously pulling down for a handle. Now this potentially does show us moving out into new all-time highs on that cup and handle kind of way of looking at it. So I really want to highlight the fact that if we actually take that off, we are heading, or we actually are down here in this oversold area, heavily oversold on our smaller time frames. Now, obviously, MTV, they have launched their smart contracts. They're looking to get people to build on the ecosystem. So there's some interesting things that are going to happen here. It is all about multi-dimensional sharding. So again, a lot of research has to be done here, but they are close to 4 billion staked. I think they've got like 7.2 billion circulating supply, so doing really, really well in terms of what's getting staked. So do want to watch out for this one. I think there's some good impulsive direction here. Again, we've got several different things that we are looking out for. The move to 9.2 cent, the move to 30 cent, or even potentially $1. It wouldn't take a lot of money to move that needle in any of those directions whatsoever. So one to watch out for. I do think MTV has a lot of potential, but also it is a micro cap coin and therefore does carry slightly higher risks. So make sure that it's one is for you with your risk tolerance, etc. Make sure you do research. As I said, not a financial advisor, but I really like what they're doing. The team's very, very open. We talk to them a fair amount. And I do expect things to kind of heat up here with MTV in the very near future. So the last coin I want to talk about is Silica. Silica is a platform that has been performing reasonably well. It's not the best performer in the portfolio, but it's definitely performed well. We have 11,000%. It's outperformed things like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Although I think you're very hard pushed to find something that hasn't already outperformed those. There are a couple like Algorand, Polkadot. They're not performing very well at all. But in terms of pretty much other altcoins, they pretty much have performed really, really well. And in the case of Silica, has performed very well. Now, here we obviously have the impulsive moves that we're tracking. This wave 4 definitely seems to be taking its time. It did with wave 2 as well. There was a long period of time here as we just tried to trade sideways. This is something similar that we're seeing. But with their move into the metaverse, we could potentially see Silica do some pretty interesting things as well. And now this one also gets pulled up because it is also forming out with this triangular wedge. As it's probably commonly known, this is also an Elliott wave triangle. Here is our down move with wave A, our wave with wave B just coming up here, our wave C coming down. This will be our wave D. We'll look for that wave E. And of course, once we have that all completed, we actually end up with a breakout that's usually impulsive by nature. Okay, and this could potentially take Silica to some fantastic all-time highs. So this is again something that's going to probably play out later into 2022, quarter 1, quarter 2, something like that. But again, taking a look at how this triangular wedge is forming out, something similar with VChain, something similar with a few other altcoins as well. And we have some examples of these breakouts on HarmonyOne on the really smaller time frame as well. So for example, here is the breakout that we had from this ABCDE breakout to the upside, impulsive move. And over here, we had the ABCDE breakout with an impulsive move to the upside. So Silica is definitely poised and looking very, very tidy for something that is potentially going to have a huge breakout in 2020. So definitely one that I think that is worth putting on people's radars. Again, do your own research. This one, again, is a sharded based blockchain, smart contracts, all of that kind of good stuff. Lots of kind of integrations, lots of things built on the ecosystem, but do your own research, not financial advice, as I am not a financial advisor. So guys, those are the projects that I really wanted to kind of call out as big movers potentially in 2022. These things are, these particular cryptocurrencies are definitely geared up with some pretty good solid fundamentals, but also really good TA that actually is gearing up some big moves in the very near future as well. If you have found this video useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.